The mother is not comfortable with her kids hanging out with their grandparents.
It's my obligation to say no and to protect my children from that.
My boys turned 4 last week. My mom's never seen them.
It was the worst time of my life. Even I was happy to have my babies, but it was the worst time for myself.
Welcome to another episode of the Playground podcast. Today is a very special episode. We are going unfiltered. Ladies, are you excited?
So excited.
Yep,
Can't wait. I only do unfiltered, so I'm very excited for this.
You know the conversations you have at play dates, on the playground when no one is listening? We're going to bring it to the table today. I'm joined by the fabulous Nina, Alana, and Megan. They're very excited.
Celebrate ourselves.
Right, so let's get through this. Quick intros about your marriage and kids. How many years have you been married? How many kids?
I've been married 8 years
Okay.
and I have 2 kids, 2 toddlers.
Old? How old?
3. Oliver just turned 3 yesterday and Leonora is 4.5.
Oh, I love those names.
Alana?
So beautiful. Married, you asked me right before and I had to actually calculate it. 5 years. And then 3 babes. 4, just turned 4, just turned 2, and just turned 9 weeks.
Oh my God.
Kids?
Yes, including the newborn, which is why if I can't string together a sentence today, that is why.
She's newborn and looks like Alana's a model.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, you are a
She's
model
like
for
literally a
insanity.
baby,
But thank you very much.
literally came out.
Right?
I'm still in anyway. I think I was still in the house, but I had COVID babies. So you had COVID baby too.
Me
Were you
too.
here?
2 back to back.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Wait, the twins were born during COVID?
Yeah, in England. I know, horrendous.
No nannies.
No nannies,
I've
no
been
help,
there.
no
Me
family.
too.
Like no one could visit.
Yeah.
I weirdly though loved having a COVID baby. It was my first too,
yeah.
but it was because I feel like it forced you to like stay in, totally cocoon, take a minute. You didn't have loads of crazy people coming over. Not that one should have loads of crazy people coming over, but still, especially during COVID, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I do also feel really lucky because everyone was like, "Oh no, you had a baby on the NHS," and I was like, "I had my own room."
Right.
Everyone, because you couldn't put everyone together because the isolation. Everyone had to be isolated in the hospital. So I had my own room. I had my own privacy. I had to stay in. My job, I got furloughed. There's a furlough, like I got paid to stay at home.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And then still got maternity leave. So I was like,
Yeah, you
it was, I
hit
had
the
really
jackpot.
bad like isolation and like loneliness problems,
Yes.
I think, which is why I kind of started doing this community thing. I'm like, my children need to meet other people.
Right.
But I feel really lucky about lots of other things.
So you got 2 or 3? You got
2.
2 kids, 2 twins.
I have a stepdaughter as well, but she lives in England.
Okay, cool. And what is it, the thing that you started doing for kids to meet other people?
What? Oh, yeah. So
Plug it in, girl. Plug it in.
Totally
So,
easy humor.
I host Dubai Mums Meet. So Dubai Mums Meet, we do lots of different events in Dubai for families. So it's families with kids. So play dates, family fun days, mums wellness events, lots of different things for mums to connect, learn and play together.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah,
I've been to one of her
love
events and it was fantastic. It was
Yeah.
so great. Oh yeah,
A
it was- I
mummy's
think it was,
event.
Yeah,
But yeah,
pregnant and like on a exercise bike on the top of Blended. It was perfect.
Mums wellness. So we
Yeah.
do like some of the events are for mums only to connect. So we'll have like food and drinks and welcome chit chat at the beginning, and then we'll do like a fitness class and then like spa day after, so they can kind of make new friends.
Oh, sorry. How do moms find you? Like, how do people find you about this?
To book the events.
Yes.
Yeah. So DubaiMumsMeet.com on the events page as events, and then there's a playdates page. Or I put things on my story on Instagram because sometimes they get booked out before I put them on the website.
Okay.
Love it.
Yes.
So, ladies, shall we get started?
Yes.
Do it.
So, in today's episode, we received some messages from our listeners from across the globe, and we'll be basically talking through each one of them, and the girls will give us their opinion. Now, let's just highlight that we are no experts, but we've been married for a while.
Yes.
Like, we've got a little bit of experience to share. Right. So, the first message, which I'm not going to go into, ladies, because it's quite long. It is a couple that've been together for over 10 years, been married for a year, they're expecting a baby, and the mother is not comfortable with her kids hanging out with their grandparents because they have views that she feels are inappropriate. So they use the N-word quite often. There's a little bit of racism, and how does she deal with it? Because in the end of the day, they're his parents, right? And they're the grandkids' parents. So
Yeah, I like, we're talking, if it was my kids, I would for sure not send my kids to the grandparents, even though they are grandparents. But if they have those values, it doesn't matter if it's my blood or my husband's blood. If a person don't have certain values that I expect human beings to have, then it doesn't matter who they are. My children are not allowed to be affiliated with people like that. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. I feel like the biggest, like, we moan often about like all the hardships of motherhood, but I think one of the best exercises is being so comfortable in who you are, being an advocate for you and your children. And like, that is first and foremost your priority and your role, right? And if you have to say, no, I don't feel comfortable, you can come over to our house, you can come for dinner, you know, whatever it might be. But the moment you're instilling something or presenting values or the lack thereof in front of my children that I don't feel comfortable with, that is not going to make them great citizens of this world, it's my obligation to say no and to protect my children from that.
Okay.
Yeah. So you said when you read her email, she's not had the baby yet.
Yeah.
So let's see how supportive they are when the baby actually comes, because when I was pregnant and I hadn't had the boys before, I was like, oh, everyone will come. It'll be busy. They'll be like, you know, I won't be able to get these friends and family out of my life.
Right.
I'll let everyone know, and like I don't even mind. My boys turned 4 last week. My mum's never seen them.
I mean, same with my mom. My mom's not in the picture. So, but I totally get you. It's
never met
insanity.
them.
Yeah, so I'm saying it doesn't matter if it's blood or not blood.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have the same values as another human beings, you don't want your children to be affiliated with that. Because I think that's the most important thing as a mother.
Yeah. And you know, you can even parallel like this same situation with, for example, how you parent your children. I feel like I hear a lot of this online where people struggle, you know, with their mother-in-laws, with their family, because they're trying to do a different way of raising their children than the previous generations, right? And then you've got the grandparents and whoever else come in and say, oh, you're spoiling them, you're too soft, you're this, you're that. And these are your children, right? And your children's attachment, comfort, like existence comes before any adult's issue with that, right?
100%.
And they're the ones that have the emotional ability to regulate. Children don't. So you get to be the advocate for your child.
Yes.
But ladies, I'm just going to have to disagree a little bit here, okay? And I'm bringing in the Middle Eastern culture,
Yeah.
right? Because for me to say, like, that's not going to happen, that is not going to go down, right? In any Middle
You don't have the
Eastern
choice.
society or community, right? Like, I think it's going back to, and I feel like I speak to my single friends about this a lot. When you marry someone, us Arabs always say it's not just two people getting married, it's two families coming together.
Right.
And I'm not saying ditch the guy because of his family's beliefs. Absolutely not. But you need to have an agreement with your husband before you even get to the ring part.
Right.
Because I know it's exciting to get the ring, ladies. It is. It is. And we're all excited and blinded by everything else. And we ignore the red flags and we just want to get on with it. But marriage is like working out and going to the gym, and it's consistent. It's so for you to not look into these things and observe them, I don't know. I feel like this is
before you get married,
Yeah.
so you have to get to know the family before.
I think so.
100%.
But you know, I agree with you, but a lot of people don't know that because you don't spend so much time with the families. The true self of a person comes out after years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
it's not the first year or the first 6 months. You don't know a person for like very well all the sides, because when you meet a new person, they always put the good sides of themselves. I always put the good sides. I'm never gonna show my bad sides to a person that I don't know.
Yes.
But when you get close to a human being, it takes years to know how they are, how their values are, their beliefs, their actions, their humanity towards others. So maybe she didn't know when she got married to this person, especially.
but
the
these are
Muslim.
basics. These are
Well, that's what I was
basics.
gonna say. I feel like of more paramount importance, it's probably unrealistic to get to know the rest of the family in that level of detail and depth. But it is why I think you have to have those conversations with your husband, your partner beforehand. Because, I mean, if you're not, and even my husband and I have different ways that we like approach parenting, approach quote unquote discipline or, whatever else. And I think if you haven't even had those discussions ahead of time, it becomes, exponentially more challenging in the moment when the kids are there, when the emotions are high, when the sleep is low, things just get really, really challenging to overcome. So, if you, for example, I know this, woman is already in the relationship and will have to deal with it, as and when it comes. But for anybody else, I think if you even have an inkling of there's going to be some, differences or potential issues with the parents-in-law, you address that in the beginning with, your husband. I love you, and therefore, of course, I love your family. When we do have children, there are certain things that are very important to me and to the future person that our child is going to become that I need to make sure don't go on around our kids. First and foremost being racist comments. And I don't think there's a little bit of racism. The littlest bit of racism is a problem, right? So you're going to need to make sure that parents don't talk about that in front of my kids. Or better yet,
I agree.
Deal with their own issues.
I agree. I think always start with your partner before anything. Let's move on to the next one. It's a message from a mommy. And this actually came into us. Sometimes I feel like I've just disappeared. Since having my kids, my life has revolved around them and I don't even recognize myself anymore. I barely see my friends. I don't have any hobbies and I feel guilty for even writing this. I love my kids so much, but I miss who I was before. Am I the only one who feels like this?
No.
I mean, of course
every
not.
mom feels like that.
Of course not.
Oh, yes. For me, almost 4 years of my life, everybody says, oh, it's the best years when you have your babies, because I had back to back. But it was the worst time of my life. Even I was happy to have my babies, but it was the worst time for myself because not only was I got into depression, it was COVID, back to back, diabetes, both pregnancies, awful pregnancies, breastfeeding, my whole look changed. I put on 42 kilos because I got diabetes. So I did not recognize the person I was seeing in the mirror. Yeah. And if I would show pictures to people, they would not think I'm the same person. So I lost myself and it was awful. I didn't have time for doing anything, my hobbies, seeing anyone. Everything was around these two kids, about just making them happy. And I lost myself in it. And it was awful. But
how did you deal with it?
Very badly, because I was severely depressed. And then one day I just snapped out of it. I went to the doctor because I couldn't lose weight. I didn't know what was wrong with me because I'm naturally skinny. And this doctor said, listen, this injections are in the market that you lose weight, called Ozempic and Mounjaro. I swear to God, that was my turning point to find myself again.
Yeah,
I'm not joking. It was because for 4 years, we have newborn babies, and you lost yourself in this with breastfeeding, taking care, nurturing, and don't see yourself in a way that you always used to see yourself. You disappeared.
So for you, when you lost the weight and felt better, by the way, I relate to that.
Yes.
For me, the weight gain really impacted me. It impacted my self-esteem. It impacted everything in my life.
Yes.
So that helped you,
That helped me because I got secure in myself. I looked at myself in the mirror and I felt comfortable. And when I felt comfortable with myself, my mood was changed towards my children. Yeah. And then my mind was more open to say, okay, you know what? Now I want to start training. Now I want to start taking care of myself in order to find myself and have a more happy environment. So I need to find myself in order to have, a relationship with the rest of them.
And your husband is happy.
And there's a lot of backlash about Mounjaro and Ozempic. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a tricky one, right? To actually come out and say it. So, it takes a lot. So
100%. But for me, why would I lie? I had major problems because it wasn't, I would not, if I had say 5 kilos overweight, I would not go on injections. I would not, because I would, if I didn't have diabetes. But because I was 40 kilos overweight, and they didn't know what was wrong with my hormones. I had to go on it, but then the little that we knew that I actually had diabetes, stage 2 diabetes, which they didn't measure after my 2 pregnancies, because when you're pregnant, it's digestional diabetes, it goes away.
Right.
Yeah,
so that for me was a major thing, 40 kilos. But I, as a person, if it's somebody that have a beautiful body or a few kilos overweight, I would not recommend that. At all. But if it's something like, you have 10 kilos, 15 kilos, 20 kilos, which is not healthy for the measurement, because at a doctor you measure your height and they say, what the normal weight should be. And it's unhealthy to be overweight, severely overweight.
Yeah.
So I definitely would suggest everybody to go on that are severely overweight.
But speak to your doctors first, please. We're not promoting Mandarin.
No, speak to the doctors.
Speak to the doctors.
Always. You have to have a blood
this,
test.
I feel like this question, it's there isn't like a straight answer. Of course, you quote unquote lose yourself. Yeah. But that's also, as with everything, I feel like pregnancy and parenting, motherhood related, if there was more like honest chat around it beforehand, then the shock or the surprise is maybe not as jarring, right? Because we're never going to go back to the person that we were before we had kids because we are a different person. Yeah. Like when they say, you know, when a child is born, there's another person born as well. It's a mother, right? And the whole notion of matrescence, it's like pubescence, it's adolescence, it's moving into another stage of who you are, but you're never going to be the same person. Your gray matter literally rewires itself during, you know, pregnancy, during motherhood. And while like 100%, you have to be able to fill up your cup in whatever way that is to you, whether it is physical fitness, whether it is, you know, some kind of creative expression, whether it is having a, you know, more time with your partner. You do need to, or just your own time, going to do a yoga class, whatever. You need to fill up your cup in whatever way you need. But I think we also, this is where like Instagram sometimes kind of ruffles my feathers, and I don't feel like puts a very, I don't know, honest impression out there. It's like this notion of, oh, if I just go do like 4 yoga classes a week, and if I prioritize my marriage and we do a date night every week, like yes, those are important. But I also feel like this is a stage of life, and I'm not saying this is this is what you signed up for. No, but this is, I think it's all about that being in the moment, being present. Like, this is what I'm doing right now. However I choose to show up to motherhood. Exactly. You know what I mean? There's a working mom is a working mom. There's working mothers who don't get paid and work in that house, and there's working mothers that get paid outside the house. Do you know what I mean? You live your life and motherhood how you want to, but I think we also just need to somewhat like let go of this notion that I have to get back to who I was, because that's not a thing. You're a different person. Yes.
I think that early couple of years, you're like, or you're like, oh, I'm not fun anymore. Like, oh, I'm not that fun person. I don't have the energy to do that. And my brain is like not there. Like my brain is always with the boys. Like I feel like I was literally the same as that. And I'm like, I have this guilt all the time if I'm doing anything. Like I used to, like if they want to be like, but I used to like everything done. Spa days, nail done, hair done, everything done all the time. And now I'm like, I can't get my nails done as an hour, or I could be playing with the boys. I should be like, I would
killed
never,
myself. I was late for
pickup.
pickup.
Had my nails done since I was like, I don't know, 15. And then now I'm just like, no, because I'd rather spend that hour with them. Like, so you can't, but my person before babies wouldn't, even when I was pregnant, I was always still going for my manicure every two weeks. Yeah. So like, I think you have to change, and you have to then work out what your priority is, but find out what makes you happy and go and do that. So I need to still have time for me just by myself.
100%.
But I be me by myself with my kids sometimes. That makes me feel happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that is like for me, because if I'm doing anything else, like I was like, I'll go spa day, wellness day, like what is the yoga class applies. I've signed up for like everything. What is going to make me? But the whole time I'm laying there trying to do a meditation class, I'm like feeling guilty, or like, oh, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, and I'm like, then it's over. I'm like, okay, I have to go back home. I'm just like, that was just a waste of my a waste of my time. Do you mean so? You need to find
what it while you're there in the class.
I have a question. Do you think that our mothers or grandmothers felt this way, or is it social media that's making us think about all of these things?
No, I think our parents did it, but because it was no social media that out there, they didn't. Like it didn't come out.
So the guilt was there with our mothers.
100%.
Not with my mother, because she left me and went to Paris for a year.
Same. My mother's just never
they're
been
together.
Existent. Oh.
That was an excuse. It's like, I'm leaving 1 year to Paris to take care of your sister. That was her blame, my dad's sister. So and I remember it. I was 5 years old. I never forget that until today. Like I always say, Mother, you left me when I was 5.
It's funny that you don't forget it.
I don't forget it.
Trauma.
But my dad obviously was like both mom and dad, and we had family. But it's just like I think trauma that she left to take care of my dad's sister because she went through chemo in Paris. But
But you
But I
can't
would not
understand that when
now.
you're 5.
yeah.
You
I
can't
would
understand that
never
when you're
leave
5.
my child and go
Yeah.
now with my husband's. He doesn't have a sister, but whatever. To Paris and then enjoy my life and leave my child with the husband. And that time, this is like a long time ago. It wasn't that you were flying back and forth.
No.
It was like
There's
you
no
would-
video calls.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to end that one with just take time out for yourself, see what you would like to do.
Yeah.
For me, I obviously I'm a workaholic. But for me, I think having a passion, it doesn't have to make you money. But if you find something that you absolutely love and build on it, that is always a good start.
Totally.
100%.
I mean, and that's how I feel like that's why I start. I mean, well, with my Instagram, it was like the loss before I had children. But as with anything, I think it's just genuine human connection at whatever stage in life you're in, whether you're having chemo, whether you've gone through a pregnancy loss, whether you're a mom of a 3-month-old who feels like they're losing themselves. It's that sense of connection of others. What do they say? A problem shared is a problem halved.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it's about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think passion is so important
Passion.
because normally if you have a passion for something, you become very good at it. And that when you become professional in your passion, that's when it turns to business.
Yeah, monetizing it.
Yes, and I think that's like you have to have patience. That's the
but
only
I-
key
and what I
with
would-
your passion.
Yeah. And what I would just say on the passion topic, though, is that it's also okay if you are, because I feel like a lot of women also hear like, you got to have a side hustle, you got to be passionate. And some women I think are super
Like,
passionate
I don't
about,
know what
I
mine
want
is.
to I want to be a mother right now. I
Yeah.
want to be like, I only want to be just spending every second that I can with my child. Some people are like that. And I think it's recognizing like how these feelings that you have, are they coming from a place of love or a place of fear? I fear that I'm missing out. I feel that I'm not doing this right. I feel that I don't feel like the same person. Do you know what I mean? And I think that just takes some like honest introspection.
I think I'm over that. I never feel now that I'm missing out on anything because my missing out, like my luxury time now, it all depends also like our backgrounds and stuff. But for me, the most luxurious time is when I'm at home.
Agreed.
I put the kids to sleep and I go to my bed and watch either Netflix or be on my Instagram.
Just like this quiet, your own quiet
The
time.
best.
But-
like that I like honestly like the best thing I
That
know
is
in the world.
money can't buy.
Totally.
Yeah.
But have you heard of like what is better than, FOMO, the fear of missing out? JOMO, the joy of missing out.
Yeah.
I love saying no to things. I love it.
I love it. No, I didn't
I
go
am
through that.
in my JOMO era.
But you know what,
these days.
guys? I have to go back to this lady. I love Jomo.
So
Jomo.
good.
Jomo.
So good.
Jomo.
Just going back to this lady, when I was going through this, I felt like I was drowning in the middle of the ocean and nobody can hear me. And I don't know what's going on. And I can't see. So while it's so easy for us to answer now,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
for her, I literally, these feelings come back to me, that
Yeah.
anxiety,
Yeah, mine
that.
too.
So I really hope this helps you, honestly. And obviously reach out to any of us. Our Instagrams are always
Yeah.
open and we do respond,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
if
I
you
do
need
respond.
any
I
support.
think she
Time.
has to
Help.
find something that really makes her happy to snap out of it.
Yeah,
that's
that's-
gonna make her feel good about herself. That's the only key.
I
Well, and I
made
think
Nobody's gonna
myself.
tell her anything.
And I think it's hard to, when you do feel like you're drowning, it's hard to even get to that mental place of
Yes.
what brings me joy. And that's why, because I don't know that we've necessarily given like tactical tips on how to tackle that. But I feel like if there was the discussions ahead of time, I know she's there right now, but for somebody who's pregnant right now, figure out. People like prep so much for, oh my God, the nursery and like the wardrobe.
Yeah.
What you really need to be prepping for is that postpartum period
Yeah.
and making sure that you are supported. And so whether that is, if you don't want a nanny, that's fine. But maybe think about having somebody to come in and clean the house once a week, or, make sure that you are supported in such a way where you can find that 2 minutes in a shower to maybe hypothetically think about what could bring me passion,
100%.
I love that. I love that. Right. This one.
Ooh, your face looks juicy. I'm excited.
It's actually a sad one. Because I'm seeing this more than ever. And Alana, I know you're going to tell me it's the food we're eating. But anyway, listen to this. Okay. Message from a couple struggling with IVF. We've been trying to have a baby for nearly 5 years. I never imagined it would be this hard. Now, IVF feels like our only option, but I'm terrified. It's such a huge financial investment. Yes, it is. And we're already so drained emotionally and financially. What if it doesn't work? I'm scared of the heartbreak. And sometimes I feel like I'm losing hope.
No.
Obviously, there's the judgment as well.
When it comes to IVF, I believe everything happens for a reason at the right time. people
Only
should-
IVF or having a baby in general?
having a baby,
Okay.
IVF, everything in life.
Okay.
I believe that.
And I'm going to respectfully disagree, but I'll tell you in a minute why.
Yes, and I think that if you have patience and hope, that's the only thing you can do. You cannot navigate what the future is holding for you. You cannot. And if you have your hopes extremely high, naturally you're going to get shattered. And especially when it comes in the control outside God's hands. IVF, it's not 100% procedure. I've done IVF. I went through that. And you don't know if it's going to work or not. But if you have that mindset, if you go into IVF, I'm going to get pregnant, and you don't get pregnant, then your hopes are gone, and you're going to see the worst days of your life. But if you have an open mind saying it might work, if it's meant to be, it will work. If it's not meant to be, and especially if you have financial problems, because IVF is extremely expensive, not everybody can do it. But I can say something that for the locals, like this country has provided so many great things and opportunities, especially for the locals. They do help out the local families for doing IVFs, and it's becoming very normal and not so judgmental that it's a taboo and it's bad to do IVFs. But my point is, if you don't have the money, if you have saved up, do not have high expectations. Always believe in the higher power. If it's meant to be, meant to be. If it was about to have a child, then she's going to be super happy. But if it doesn't work, then still be happy that it was something that stopped it. This is my belief.
And the only reason I say, it's one of the adages, this everything happens for a reason, as somebody who's experienced multiple pregnancy losses and later on in pregnancy, for me and for a lot of people who I know who have walked that, whether it is being pregnant and losing it or having tried IVF multiple times. I have had friends who have gone through, 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds and have never gotten pregnant. And I think that saying that is just this double dagger, because it's what? So I wasn't going to be a good mother. That's why God didn't. I think sometimes shitty things happen, and there's not a silver lining. And I think sometimes being able to just say that out loud, not having to put on this super Pollyanna optimistic attitude, and just be this is really crap. There is no good reason why this is happening. And I can sit and grieve in it. And because I think you've got to let yourself, as with everything, you've got to let yourself feel your emotions. Otherwise you will never, I never believe about getting over something. You go through it, and the only way to get through something is to properly grieve, feel whatever it is you need to feel.
But at the same time, yes, you have to grieve, but you also have to have that belief that it wasn't meant to be. Because if it was meant to be, because you have to have some hopes. I'm not I'm not talking about religion or certain things, but it's some hope you have to have in life, and not thinking, okay, this is shitty, I didn't get pregnant, it's my fault, is this.
But I don't think it's about a fault.
But no, I just don't think you get a choice. I don't think as any woman gets a choice. You don't get to choose how you have your pregnancy. You don't get to choose your gender of your baby. You don't get a choice.
Yes.
And I think that people in this situation need to realize you don't have a choice. I don't get anyone that's had you don't get to choose. No. You have, your baby will come when your baby comes. And that's what I genuinely believe, because
Me too.
They told me that I couldn't have children.
Yes.
There was no way I would have children. They told my sister the same thing.
Wow.
There was no way. She had one healthy boy, and then I had twins.
Yes.
So
and naturally.
Naturally. Not
Oh
IVF.
my
There's
God.
some things that IVF.
That's a miracle right
Everything
there.
happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Did
And
you
then-
want kids?
Yes, desperately wanted it. We talked about it, and then we tried for
Yes.
a long time, and then we were just it wouldn't happen. And then he kept telling me for months, don't get excited, don't get excited, don't get excited.
Yeah.
Don't get excited because they're not out yet until they're there.
I love
because
that.
he lived through it before with
Yes.
his ex. No, I hadn't. So I was just yay, yay. And he's just don't
That's
get
what I
excited.
believe.
And then we found out I was twins, and he was don't get excited.
I'm
That's what I
It's
believe. I have this
don't
hope
get
that-
Guys,
excited.
I literally, every
don't
time
get
I go into an appointment with Dr. Salma, I love you.
Yeah.
I don't prepare anything and even when I'm going to in to have my C-section, I'm always thinking maybe something will happen. Like, I don't want to set
even
my
that-
expectations high.
Yeah,
Thank you.
even
The
that
same.
you can't
Thank you.
choose.
But
I
I think that's
planned
what
my
makes me
pregnancy.
survive.
I planned.
To not have it tight.
Picked my thing, booked my doctor, booked my C-section, booked the room, picked my music, all
And
of
you're
that,
still worried.
and then went in for a checkup, and they're like, "No, we're taking the babies now." And I'm like, "Whoa, hold up, no.
Yeah.
I've booked all that," and they're like, "No, we're doing it right now." Like,
So
you don't
I
get
hate to be the
choose.
contentious one
Sorry.
again. But while I agree. I mean, hope can also be like the precursor of like devastation and disappointment.
Yes.
I also believe, again, as somebody who has had multiple pregnancy losses, and I know it's really hard, I'm always have a bit of like nerves before I go into every single appointment, before I go to the bathroom every time. I'm like, am I going to see blood? But I think there is nothing wrong to celebrating the fact that you are pregnant today, or that you are going through IVF today. You are at this stage.
100%.
You are pregnant today. But what I wanted to actually get back to the IVF thing, there's also another side. I feel like, and this is probably a topic for an entire other podcast, but we also as a society and the medical industry are so quick to be like, you haven't gotten pregnant for a year, on to IVF you go. And there is a myriad of things that are in our control. That, I mean, go down to like, you know me and my non-toxic living. Like we are being bombarded day in and day out from the moment we wake up in the morning, you know, putting on body wash and perfume and cleaning our house with chemicals that are full of like hormone disrupting, you know, endocrine disruptors, phthalates, all these things. So maybe she's already gone down this route, but there's this incredible book called It Starts with the Egg that I feel like should be like the first port of call for anybody who is having unexplained infertility. And it outlines loads of different things that are lifestyle kind of factors. Water quality, air quality, again, the
But
like
then
toxins.
again, I have to interrupt you there because, like in our parents' generations, it was a different world. It was different environment. It was different air. It was different water.
Yeah,
it was less
better.
chemical stuff. So the generation that we are growing up in, it's so much chemicals. So that's the reason a lot of us have difficulties to get pregnant.
That's
At
what I'm
their
saying.
generation,
Yeah,
they had 5-6 kids.
Yeah.
So you
Fertility
have
has
to
been
understand,
plummeting.
It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what we do now. We
Oh, it
have all
does.
been drinking the same water, the same breathing, the same air for the past this generation. Of course, it's a caution what we put in our body, how much we exercise, and so on. But at the same time, our generation, we've been breathing the same air, drinking the same water, experiencing the same pollution. So that's hence why so many like young women between like 25 and say 40
Everyone's
have difficulties to struggle because this never happened before. So but you're like, of course, to an extent, you have to like, you know what you're putting in your body and so on. But I think the majority of it's not
actually
that.
the reverse. The environment, like the environmental toxins, they are obviously omnipresent
bad as
for everybody, but we are in charge of what we're slathering on our body, what we're cleaning our house with and everything.
Yes.
And I mean, there are countless, and again, it's not to put like all the onus. Unfortunately, some women experience infertility and they've tried everything and it doesn't, and it doesn't work. And that like I said, I think that is awful. It must be incredibly devastating. But I think there is so much that can be done before like, just going and unfortunately the doctor is saying, do this straight away.
So does she do IVF or not, or what does she do?
I think if she's going to do it before, and because I agree with you with the food thing. So I didn't try it, but I used to drink. I drink coffee. I drink alcohol. Like I have wine all the time. Before I actually got pregnant, I was vegan and hadn't drunk for 6 months.
Okay, and the doctors told you that you can never have a baby, and then all of a sudden you got pregnant.
And then I stopped drinking coffee, stopped drinking wine, and become vegan. I'm dairy free anyway, but we were like super, super healthy, and then I got pregnant. Yeah. So, but I had a like very, very toxic lifestyle before that.
Okay, so that explains. We have extremely toxic lifestyle that can have certain elements in it. Yeah. But if you have a normal lifestyle.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, normal lifestyle today has become
I think today's
toxic.
normal lifestyle
exactly.
is not healthy.
And
like,
people
what
don't
we think
realize
is normal, like buying all like you meat in the shops and the chicken stuff. Have you been to a chicken farm? Like you will stop eating chicken if you've seen like how they're raised. And like all the injections and the chemicals, and then you're eating it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Like-
start with fixing your body and lifestyle before you go and do IVF.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
try it out.
But
Yes.
the doctors say that though. Like to me, they said like,
I
you know,
know.
even we're trying because we were trying for 8 months. There was nothing wrong with me, nothing wrong with my husband, and I had zero patience. I was like, we've been trying 8 months. I don't want to wait any longer. What are my options?
Yeah.
And then he was saying, listen, you know, try one more year and so on. Like, you know, try to eat healthy, do all these things, go and exercise. You need to meditate because you have a very hectic life. I was like living on a plane with work, traveling, not sleeping.
Stress is a toxin.
Stress is a
No,
toxin.
Stress
Yeah.
was for
Hormone.
me.
A toxin.
Stress was the only thing for me that we had difficulties to get pregnant
think
because my
so.
mind was going. But he did say, you know, do all this. But they prepare you. Obviously, I stopped drinking alcohol. Not that I used to drink a lot of alcohol. I have like a sip here and there. But of course, they do that, and then you know you make your decision.
This is
doctor
my
said
shout
that.
out. Throw away all your perfume. Stop putting endocrine disruptors on your body.
No, but really, Alana,
Honestly,
I mean, I'm really inspired by Alana's lifestyle. I think, guys, I think stress for me is the number one. I've seen so many people who have such a stressful lifestyle. And then when it comes to baby time, they put so much pressure on this. I need to get pregnant, I need to get pregnant, I need to
make
get
you more
like,
stressed.
That was me.
The anxiety is even worse.
And then the minute
Yes.
these people that go through this and then they do IVF and then it doesn't work. And then the minute they adopt, they get pregnant.
right.
And my husband, I remember that stress because I was like with work, and then to my husband, I was like, "Yes, now it's time." Like, and he got so stressed out. He's like, "Nina, I'm not a working man. You know, if you know what I mean. I feel like you're treating me like a working
Right.
Like, now, get
and
in
it's-
there, go.
and it's- but at the end of the day, like for men and for women, like our cells at like a cellular level, like we're still Neanderthals. And so for us, any type of stress, whether it is the buzzing of a phone or like constantly being called up for work, is to our brain and to our cells the same as if a saber tooth is coming. So it's going into all sorts of like stress and letting all sorts of stress inducing hormones that affect all sorts of hormone imbalances in our body that affect fertility.
So,
nailed it.
ladies, so guys, anyone who's trying to get pregnant, please start with working on your body and mental health and then take it from there
No,
before
first go to the doctor and get your test done.
Yeah.
A good functional medicine doctor.
And see
Functional
what
medicine
you
doctor.
need to do.
Avoid the traditional medical
if
industry.
You're imbalanced, your hormones. First, the doctor's test.
Listen to
then take
Alana
a
and Nina
decision.
at the same time. I think just meet halfway because we've got completely different lifestyles here.
And make your own
Listen,
opinion.
Reach out to
The
them,
best,
right?
the best, the
Okay,
best.
I love it. I love it. Okay, I actually. Okay, so this is a message. This is a message that it's a post that was on one of the mom groups, and I reached out to the person that wrote it and got permission to share this. Okay, so one of my favorite topics. Every mom conversation, every mom group talks about this. So here we go. This is a message for all the nannies creating fake profiles and giving themselves recommendations. You should be ashamed. I understand that finding a job can be tough, but it's absolutely outrageous to start fabricating profiles to recommend yourself to other moms. First of all, you want us to hire you, yet you begin with a lie. How can we trust you with our children? I know some of you are mothers trying to provide for your families, but there are better ways to approach this. There are plenty of honest job opportunities available, so please stop with the deception. Be truthful in your resumes as well. There are many wonderful nannies out there, but those who lies are undermining the chances of the honest ones. Do better.
I haven't heard of that. I didn't know that was.
So
so
that
many.
is very common.
Yes, very common.
Very common. Very common. Now, I'm going to start off by saying that my nannies are the best things that
was
have
getting
ever
ready to say,
happened to me.
Oh my gosh, me too. I feel so grateful.
Like, I get fashion advice. I get life advice.
Oh, wow.
I get my nannies.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to say their names because someone will hit them.
Same.
Can I
Every
tell
time somebody's
you
like, your nanny's
something?
so good at the playground, I'm like, stay away.
I
talk to my
How long have you had your nanny for?
Since Ralph was a couple months old.
Okay, but I had the worst experience with nannies since my kids were born.
Yeah.
So, like, if I tell you worst, like
How many
that.
nannies have you been through?
So I, without even exaggerating, I spent so much money on this nannies getting there. It was like Leonora was born. So 3 years, I had maybe 7 nannies.
Yeah.
One worse than the other. But
Is it you, Nina, though? Because now I'm starting to wonder.
But see, the thing is, everyone.
I had maybe
Can I
like
just tell
5
you?
before mine, and I've had
But
one
I
for
will
2
tell
years.
you why. Because these nannies were coming there. I did not hire them through agencies or a friend that knows a nanny. It was like fake CVs on these sites till I found like my new nanny. She's been with us for 1.5 years. Her name is Joy. I call her My Joy in my phone. Her name is
sweet.
My Joy.
So sweet.
Like, you don't understand. She has given me so much life.
Yeah.
And for me to go through this topic, and I had to even call police on them because they were lying, and we have cameras.
Yeah.
So I saw, like, and I never left.
Now you found the one. Was it easier finding your husband or your nanny?
Babes, like nannies are difficult to find. It was so easy to find my husband.
I think nanny.
I have 7 nannies, but like it is very, people have to be careful. It's not even a joke.
It's not a joke.
Because
It's not a
they
joke.
do lie. And
They
they
do.
lied. 6 people lied to me about their background, their thing, fake
Yeah.
CVs on these sites.
Yeah.
So my
So
recommendation,
always
go
do-
through agencies.
Go
And
through
I-
agency?
mine was a recommendation from a friend. And also
Yes.
I was like, I come from this super small town, like in Virginia. Nobody had a nanny. I'd never heard of a nanny until I came over here. And I, got pregnant and was going to have the baby. And my husband was like, why don't we like look into getting a nanny? And I was like, absolutely not. I'm doing everything myself. This is the patriarchy
That's
is
what I
put
was like,
on us. And when you start to think about it, like, this wasn't how we were meant to live. We were supposed to be in a tribe with the grandmas to, help with making the food, with the 15-year-old girls who've got all the energy to like run around with our kids, while we're taking care of a newborn. So this idea of like doing it all by yourself. But so I reluctantly got a nanny just to like help around the house, when Rafi was firstborn. So I was there all the time. And I remember, even though she was amazing, and I got her recommendation from a friend who she had been with before they left back to the States, I remember constantly having this fear of like leaving my child with
But
somebody
I never
else.
left my children.
Same. So
They
I
were
was
3 years old.
Exactly.
Oh,
It
wow.
I
wasn't.
never left my kids alone with any of the nannies, and even the new one. It's just the past 5 months
Okay.
that I now leave them.
But now I was going to say,
I
she
was
is
scared.
a part of our family. And I always joke, I love you, Florian. But I always joke that like, she's my real husband.
Yeah. Yes.
She's the
Question
greatest thing
how
in the
I
world.
choose my husband and my nanny all the time.
I love you, Florian.
I'm normal. I love my husband too.
No, me too.
Megan?
We went through we tried like loads of agencies. I had drama thing with people being like nannies stealing things, nannies falling asleep.
Yes,
we had
yes.
See, and
cameras
that's
in the
scary.
house. And then I was so paranoid, like
Yes.
you were, after all these bad experiences. Like even if they go out of the house,
Yes.
I was crazy. I would follow them. So like,
Oh
I'll just
my-
take them to walk to the park, and then I was like a mental person and would just follow to see if she was
Yeah.
actually going to the park. And then I was like, and I've got to stop doing this. Okay, you can't take them. You can only take them down to
Yeah.
level 1 because I live in a block of flats. Like I become like
But
crazy.
you become paranoid. It's
like
normal.
literally crazy because of like bad experiences, either with agency nannies or with like recommended nannies that weren't actually who they were. We had a lady move in with us who was recommended from when I first come to Dubai. I had an actual job, and
You still have an
You have a
actual
job. What you're
job.
doing is amazing, Megan. Really.
It's like a community group, but yeah, it's like a hobby. But it is a real
Stop
job.
undermining
Okay.
yourself.
Yeah.
And their friends recommended like a nanny, and she come in, and we found out her passport details, everything she gave us wasn't hers. It was her cousin's.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
But don't you,
Yep.
like, when you're getting their visa, like, don't you have to submit those documents
Yep.
and everything?
Yeah.
She just gave it a cousin.
She gave her cousins.
She gave her cousins, and we submitted it and moved it in. And then another lady from another block was like, they were calling her by a different name, and it was different. I was like, I was all confused. And then we found out that that wasn't her passport.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It wasn't even her passport.
Yeah, so it's difficult with my nannies, and you. So it doesn't matter agencies.
So you
or
say
not.
agency? What do you like monitor the situation?
So I have
guess.
cameras in every hole in my house.
Yeah,
Same.
literally.
So do
that's
we.
how I
Every-
started. Yeah.
Every single place in my house
Okay.
has cameras.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I, because it's my kids. My kids
Yeah, I
mean the world to me, and if anything happens to them, like I would never allow that to happen. So I suggest as a mother,
Okay.
you have nannies, because you can. Me personally, I cannot trust anyone 100% with my kids, even my family members. I will not. I'm very like. Even
And
my
that's-
mom,
yeah,
like
that's-
I would like, because she's a bit older. I would not trust my 2 kids with my mom 100%. She might,
Yeah.
faint one day, or just have cameras in your house and monitor every step that anybody that is close to your kids.
Okay, and advice to the nannies.
Don't lie.
Be honest. Don't be scared. The guys, they lie because they're scared, because they've been abused. They've been through something.
okay.
I'm not trying to say lying is
now,
okay.
So nannies, if you're listening, that if you haven't heard, I'm pretty sure you all know, there's an amnesty now. You can go home.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you heard, there's an amnesty. So basically why they're lying and giving fake details and giving fake passports is because of the fines. The overstay fines.
They're overstaying.
They overstay fines, and they don't want to pay their fines, and they want their money back. Or like she just wanted some money to pay her plane ticket to go home, right? And they need the money. There's an amnesty now, so the government will pay your fines.
And be
so that
honest.
you can go home.
Be
so
honest.
You don't need
We'll
to
help.
lie.
We'll help. We'll help. If you have an issue, like really speak to your employer and they will help. And if you don't have a kind employer, then leave and go to the police. But running away and hiding, you are not. Don't be scared. If you're on the right, do not be scared.
And thank you to all the amazing.
Yes,
Oh my God!
Have the 2 seconds to shower and our beautiful clean moms.
Thank
I'm
you.
so
I
grateful.
wouldn't be where I am.
No.
My kids wouldn't be as amazing as they are if
Oh
it
my
weren't for
gosh.
amazing nannies.
Same.
Totally.
My joy. She's my joy.
And you know, everyone watching overseas is totally judging us
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
I know.
Right? Yes, we have
Oh,
nannies, and our life is so hard. I know. Thank you so much, ladies. This was
Thank you.
amazing.
Oh my God, this was so fun.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Follow the ladies. Reach out if you've got any questions, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.